Okay, channel is live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Watching 100 Movies. I'm Christiana Ellis.
And I'm Mike Mateen.
And tonight we are continuing our 2026 Oscar movie marathon with more discussions of more Oscar nominated movies. So, I think the two biggest ones that we have now in common that we didn't talk about already probably F1 and K-pop Demon Hunters. So I was thinking we might start with those.
Yes. And I think then if we have time, we could probably shoot for Elio.
Mm-hmm. I
But
put in the title it would be F1 K-pop Demon Hunters and more. So
and more.
we'll see what else we
Yay.
get to. Um, I know you only just are fresh off of K-pop Demon Hunters. Do you want to start there, or should we talk about F1 first?
Let's start with K-pop Demon Hunters.
All right. So, this is one that we talked about in our last episode that you hadn't seen yet. I recommended it. You said you were going to make it happen, and you did. What did you think?
I loved it. I I had always like I think I said last time if people hadn't listened, I hadn't it was one that I was committing to watching because
Mm-hmm.
I had heard a lot of good things about it. I volunteer at my church for the third through sixth graders, and they talk about this thing all the time. I mean, they're obviously like the key demographic that this movie is focused on.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I heard that you also loved it, and I'd heard other people really enjoyed it, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna make time. I'm gonna make sure I see this, right? Even though it when I first heard about it, it seemed kind of silly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it is.
I mean, it's an inherently silly premise. It's
Yes.
silly just right on the face of it. The title is like just a straightforward acknowledgement. It's like, of course it's silly,
Yeah.
but also maybe good. So let's give
Yeah.
it a shot. Yeah.
And so I enjoyed it, and it was funny. I was talking to my uh, parents the other day, and they were asking like of any surprisingly, and I was like, well, it didn't surprise me because I'd heard good things about it, but it was still surprisingly good. And my mom's like, well, what's it about? I'm like, well, K-pop singers that hunt demons. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
right there. You know? Now, obviously, the reason that we're talking about it
Mm-hmm.
so highly is that there is more depth to it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's and I think that's what makes this movie so charming, right? Like, it doesn't pretend it's anything other than it is,
Mm-hmm.
but and it is silly, and it is and the K-pop songs are I think that's like the fact that it owns the K-pop songs and makes
Mm-hmm.
them like actual K-pop songs that like bubble up in your head when you're 3 days past watching the movie.
Yep.
They're very catchy. The characters are interesting and entertaining, but it's not like this hardcore overt message, but it's still a happy message, and it
Mm-hmm.
and it has a through line that makes sense. And like I think you said last time, like yeah, okay, there's some things where there's not errors, but it's like it's not 100% on all the time,
Yeah.
but that's okay because it's a happy movie, it's a fun movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's it talks about you know I think the key message, right, like is that it's it's all about like joy and happiness overcomes evil and darkness,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's how you fight those things, right?
Right.
Like there's the piece in it, obviously like they're demon hunters, but they're also K-pop singers, but like it comes out from the beginning and like they're winning the war against the demons because they're building more happiness in the
Right.
community.
Yeah. Exactly.
And the demons' response is, well, we need to win those people back over by pretending to be happy,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll be able to suck them in.
Yeah.
But like the true joy and happiness that comes from the hunters is what ultimately overcomes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a piece in there which we can get in all the details, but there's a piece in there where the hunters actually want to combat the demons the other way and make a song that's very dark and very like
Right.
we're going to defeat you, and you're not who you say you are.
Hmm.
And what they ultimately settle on is the one that's going to like win is the happy, uplifting song, and
Right.
that is the truth. And I just I love, and I know we can talk about all that in more detail, but I
Yeah,
just
we'll get
love
into
that
spoilers,
yeah, I love that it commits to
but
that
yeah.
through line of that like
Hmm.
happy, uplifting always overcomes darkness
Yeah.
and
But
evil.
with some nuance to it, right? Because like sometimes part of what it is being able to be honest about things to the people
Yep.
that you love, right? Because like
I love
that's
that part
where
too. Yeah.
one of the attacks is in this sense of like, well, you have to be perfect, and so that means that, if there's anything wrong, you have to pretend there's nothing wrong, but now you're lying, and all of a sudden that just makes it worse. And that's, where the wedge can come in.
Right. And when the wedge comes in and the three hunters are not synced up and feeling and trusting each other,
Hmm.
they are no longer as effective,
Yeah.
right? As a of
So
a team.
I
Yeah.
think I think because this movie has been out there and pretty seen, we could probably go ahead and switch to spoiler talk.
Oh yeah.
Um, but certainly, like anyone who wanted to hear just this upfront talk and then not the spoilers yet, like just go ahead and watch it, the movie. Like you either have decided you're never going to watch it, or you're someone who's just kind of not gotten around to it, and it's like, for yeah, just watch it. It's great. It's very
It's an
easy
hour
to
and a half.
watch. It's
Yeah.
very it's fun. It's it's dramatic in a kids movie way, right? Like, but it's ultimately just a very happy, silly, fun movie. And I think that so I confess I literally rewatched it after work today
I mean, it's an
because
easy watch. It's an
yeah.
hour and a half, and
Hmm.
and you don't like, yeah, you want the first time you watch it, you want to be engaged because you want to kind of pay attention. But after that, like you could put this thing on anytime,
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. And I think that it's just got, like, what I said about it before is that, like, again, like, if we really wanted to get all, it's not even about like CinemaSins stuff, but like there are places where, like, okay, this is a bigger picture thing, like with movies in general. Lots of times there are cases where if a movie is not engaging you, suddenly your brain really starts tripping over all of these little things, and you start nitpicking, and they matter and they bother you,
Yep.
right? Whereas if a movie is engaging you, then lots of times there might still be those little cracks here and there, or little places where the seams don't line up completely. Excuse me. But you don't mind so much because you're having so much fun. And this is definitely that kind of movie, right? So I think, like, I don't even really want to spend a lot of time criticizing anything, but it's more just a matter of, like, I think the biggest issues are just they've kind of got maybe a movie and a half's worth of story in here, and so not all of the elements of it really get to be as developed as you would want. But it's got its through line that it just nails. And so but like it's just got so much style. The animation is really like distinct. It doesn't really look like anything else.
Right.
And I think the whole K-pop angle to it not only gives them the opportunity to have great music as part of the story, but I think it's either something where you're already into K-pop and you're like gasping and laughing and smiling at all the references, or you are unfamiliar and it's a whole new world to explore.
And that's kind of where I land. I mean, I'm not unfamiliar with K-pop, but I
Mm-hmm.
am not a traditional listener of K-pop.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of enthralled by like, I mean, it's almost like they've taken, for lack of a better term, like AI, right? And said like, how do you make the most catching melody? Like, what are the chords? What are the tones? What are the rhythm? Like, what is the rhythm of the lyrics? And like, they've produced this thing that just is catchy. It's just,
Yeah.
it's like
It's funny
pop,
you
pop.
mentioned
That's why I
AI
love
there.
that the first song that the Saja Boys sing
Mm-hmm.
is called Soda
Soda
Pop,
pop,
right?
yeah.
Like, yeah. because it's like this is very much bubblegum soda pop, like
Right. Yeah. It's
yeah.
extremely catchy, but also kind of like to the extent that there is any substance at all, it's irony because the soul sucking demons are talking about drinking a cute girl like a soda pop. Right? You know, so it's like there's no other real meaning to it.
Well, and I think the irony and in the songs, I think that's also one of the most clever things about this movie,
Mm.
right? Is
Yeah.
it makes true pop songs, but like, even the one like the one that I think is nominated, I think is Golden,
Golden.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, it's got to be
Golden is the
Golden.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, Golden.
Golden is
But even
definitely the breakthrough hit in terms of things like radio play and everything. Although I think in the movie, I prefer what it sounds like, the climactic song. But but there's so many good songs, so it's not like it's picking a favorite among gems. But yeah, Golden is the one that's nominated for best original song. It's the one I hear in Dunkin' Donuts 3 times a week.
but there's like the whole piece in there of like I'm done hiding, now I'm shining,
Yeah.
these patterns are all in the past now. Like that outside of the movie, that's all normal, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like in the movie, the irony
Yeah.
of it is that she has the demon patterns because she's a half breed against
It
for
is really incredible how well the music is incorporated into the story, not just in the sense of justifying that there are why there would be musical numbers happening, but in having the songs really reflect what's going on in the story. And I honestly am not sure I can think of a movie that's done that better. Consider, for example, the uh, the incredible turnaround where, as you were sort of describing, when they decide, oh well, these demons are posing as a boy band, we have to take them down. We'll write a takedown song, but because Rumi, the sort of the lead singer, is starting to feel like, well, maybe that's the wrong approach. Maybe that's not how we should be thinking about demons, and it's kind of like making her uncomfortable, and so she doesn't want it, and the others are frustrated with her because she won't be honest about what she's actually feeling. And then the turnaround is that the demons then use that song against her by posing as the other two members of the band and having them sing it to her, so that the pattern, the part demon part of her is suddenly now, when your patterns start to show, it makes the hatred want to flow out of my veins. And it's about her and not the other demons. And it's just this incredible moment of, you talk about getting to people's lowest moments at the end of Act Two, right? Although this one's like, you do the act, but the point just being that is an incredible way to have that music turn the tables on her and produce that moment where not only do her bandmates then do actually find out, but it has created this perception in the public that the band is broken up. And also she just had to go through this moment of it's like her deepest fears realized.
yeah. Yeah, that's I was going to agree with or I am agreeing with you there. I was going to say that too. I think Golden is the catchy song and it's the uplifting song and it's the
Mm-hmm.
one that wins and all that kind of stuff and all. But the takedown song is the most clever because of exactly what you just said. Like
Mm-hmm.
when they first come up with it, it's it seems very straightforward, right? Like, oh yeah, okay, it has these lyrics of like, oh, you're easy on the eyes but hideous on the inside,
Yeah. Yeah.
I can
Mm-hmm.
see your real face. It's ugly as sin. I'm going to put you in your place, right? And so you're kind of bought in of like, oh, well, this is just sort of a demon hating song.
Yeah.
And then when they turn it, like you said, when they turn it on her, and it's the same exact lyrics,
Mm-hmm.
but it works on her. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that was clever,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. It's really good stuff. It's like it it pulls like two completely different elements of tension in the movie, right? Because there's
Mhm.
also the extended sequence before that part where she is not feeling the lyrics. She's worried about it, but she can't tell her bandmates why, which is making them frustrated, which is just making the division between them worse. right? It's tied to this whole thing about how she's, that, I mean, the movie just names it. Like, she is ashamed of the patterns, these purple marks on her skin, in a way that they are exploiting. And that's as we hear it from Genu, the leader of the demon boy band, is that's how the demons work, is that the king of the demons is exploiting those negative feelings that the demons have, and it uses those to control him. And so that's why they're trying to exploit those in Rumi. Just a little bit of a trivia here, that Guima, the demon king, is voiced by Byun Hung Lee, who is a Korean actor who's been in a bunch of things, but is in particular the lead this year of No Other Choice, which is Park Chan-wook's latest movie. And he was also in Squid Game. He's been in lots of things, but I didn't realize that until literally this watch, when I just saw his name in the credits, and it was like, oh yeah, I know him. I know that guy. But in any case, though, yeah, and that ties in, of course, to the whole thing with Genu, right, where we get a couple of different versions of his backstory and how he became corrupted into a demon, right? Where at first it's like, it was just that he sort of accepted the demon's power to help him and his family. But then, of course, what we learn is that what really happened is that he took advantage of the demon's power to help himself and not his family, and did that knowingly. But then, of course, that moral failing is literally what gave the demon power over him. And so, and then, of course, him being like self-sacrificing later. Although, like, that storyline, like, I don't think it's not that I think it doesn't work, but I think there are pieces of that storyline that, because there are other parts of the plot that are not fully resolved, like who is Rumi's father, that I think because I talked to at least one friend who, when we were both excited to talk about this movie, had his theory that Genu was actually Rumi's father. And I was like, I think textually the movie does not support that. But the point is that the movie was confusing about it enough that he connected those dots without it intending that.
Yeah. I agree with that. I don't want to, I mean, maybe we're going to get to it later, but I don't want to gloss over the fact that, like, I really enjoyed Jimnu's character,
Mm-hmm.
because it was cool to see that they gave depth and complexity to the demons as well.
Yeah. It is, watching this movie, especially like the first time, is this exercise in that character keeps surprising you by his choices, right?
Yep.
Because first we just meet him as like, oh, this is the sinister new bad guy who's going to do the evil demon band thing. And there's that incredible first meeting moment where we get in slow motion, he knocks her down, she's spilling all of these tonic pouches, and then he's leaning down to hold up, help her up, and it's all in slow motion to this cheesy romantic song. But then he pulls his hand away at the last minute and just like, watch yourself. And it's just this incredible turn. And so we're seeing that part of him right away. But then we get another sequence where we're seeing him as like the little stinker, where he keeps like pulling these little cartoon tricks to turn the tables on Huntrix, like spotting them at the game show thing, and and bringing them on stage, making them slide down a plastic slide in leather pants, and stuff like that. And then we see him just running around. But then the big moment where he sees, oh gosh, you've got the demon patterns on your arm. But what does he do? He suddenly leaps in and ties a bandana around her arm so that her bandmates don't see.
Yep.
And then runs away. And all of a sudden we're going like, what? What is this guy's deal? And what's great about it is that what we learn is, like, it's not that he's a good guy, but he is complicated, right?
Yep.
Like there's an element to which there's a great bit where she's kind of like trying to completely shut him down, is like, I hate you, I hate all demons, and I hate Guima, and he says, well, if hatred could defeat him, I would have done it a long time ago.
Yep.
um, but like him just being fascinated by her, because it's like, well, you have the demon marks, but you're walking around free. You don't have him in your ear all the time. I want that. How did you do it? Right? And so it's not even just about like him. He actually has this heart of gold, at least kind of, it's like early on, it's a self-motivated of like, you are interesting and I want to figure out what your deal is. But
Yep.
he's also just so funny.
Yeah.
And then of course he has the tiger and the bird sidekicks, which give a lot of additional just little comic relief, like that the tiger with its weird pot obsession, like it keeps
Yeah.
wanting to put, and it's not even that it wants to knock things over, it wants to put knocked over things back upright, but it's
Yeah.
bad. And there's so many just little bits that are just like, they're just throwaway jokes really, but it reflects a thoughtfulness in the writing and an attention to detail, like the bit where she's saying, why is the bird wearing a little hat? And he says, well, I made it for the tiger, but the bird keeps stealing it. And it's just like, there's no plot reason that joke has to be in there. It really doesn't connect to anything. It's just funny because of the design of the characters. But it's just this, it's a good bit,
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. And then of course, like we get just so many fun animation moments, like the Zoe's eyes turning into corn when she's looking at the one guy's abs, and then the corn pops, and then they're eating the popcorn.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But then I tell you, the moment that really kind of got me on this earlier today rewatch was, we have this moment where Rumi is now, like, everything's out in the open, and Rumi has gone back to like confront her aunt, I guess. I don't remember I think it was aunt, right?
Yeah.
Where, it's who basically was the one that always told her, no, you have to hide the patterns. You can't ever tell anybody. And to basically confront her. And it's presented kind of like, oh no, is Rumi going full demon now, right? And then the bit where she shows up now at the big live concert where it's going to be the end of the world. And to some extent, the whole bit where it's played like, oh no, she's really fully giving in. Only she's really not, because she has her own plan. Like in some ways that's so cliche, except that it just freaking works. I get goosebumps when that song starts. And it's just like, it's silly because, again, it's sort of just a little bit of a tiny manufactured conflict there, where they're trying to pretend for the audience's benefit that Rumi has really completely gone evil now. But then it's not, of course. But then the song is amazing, and the way everything had gotten so bad, and then that song is all about, broken to a million pieces and I can't go back, but now I'm seeing all the beauty in the broken glass. Like it's good stuff. It's great.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, yeah,
but I think one of the other things that we could maybe talk about a little bit with this is just how it did become kind of a phenomena here, because it literally wasn't originally actually released in theaters at all. It was just streaming on Netflix. And I think this might really be the first movie to start on streaming and then go theatrical. I certainly can't think of another one.
Yeah, definitely not a movie. I've seen there's now, and I don't know if it's because of this or other things, but I've seen shows where they've moved their finale or their big
Yeah, yeah,
whatever
that's true. Yeah.
to yeah, like
Although I think in some we've started to see that happen almost more now that this movie happened.
that's what I was sort
Yeah.
of kind of saying half in my head and half
Mm-hmm.
out loud was like, did this like help encourage that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, because the two that I know for sure are Peaky Blinders
Mm-hmm.
is going to a theatrical release for its next season or its finale.
Mm-hmm.
It's doing a finale movie
Yeah.
to the seasons, and The Chosen, which is a online series that started as just like I don't even know where it started, but it's
Mm-hmm.
gotten bigger about the life of Jesus. Like they moved their
Oh,
Last
sure.
Supper,
Well,
yeah, the Last Supper piece was moved to theaters.
but I think what I want to clarify too, though, is I'm not even necessarily talking about something that starts as a TV show and then they have a big episode that they do in the theater. I'm talking about a single movie that was
Yeah, no, I
streamed and
agree.
available in its entirety and now gets special screenings in the theater, right
Yeah, no, I
after
agree with
that.
you. I'm just more
Yeah.
thinking out loud of
Oh,
like
sure.
anything
Yeah.
that like went that way,
Hmm.
and I mean it's not the best
But for example,
podcast.
Netflix did that with its Stranger Things final season, but they did that after after K-pop Demon Hunters was so successful that way.
God, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Stranger Things did that as well.
yeah.
Yep. Um,
Um, so I it's just was, there has been in the industry a lot of hand wringing about who's going to buy Warner Brothers, right? Because you
mhm.
have Netflix versus Paramount, Skydance trying to, each outbid each other to buy Warner Brothers. And I think that we don't have to go into all of the different complexities, but one of the things people are afraid of if Netflix were to get it is Netflix has historically kind of been less interested in theatrical releases, even for their original movies, right? And so they've
Right.
certainly put out some very high quality, Netflix produced movies. That's absolutely been happening, but also they've had a tendency to make things eligible for awards by having them in theaters for 2 weeks and then back onto their streaming platform. And so people are worried about that. But, then you have something like this where, there's the demand for it. I think we also probably should credit just that the Sony Animation Studios that made this is also the company behind the Spider-Verse movies, which are obviously also excellent, and the
Hmm.
Mitchells versus the Machines, which is also great. So it's like, hey, that's a studio to pay attention to.
Yep.
So, uh, anything else you want to say about the story? We could just touch on the two things that it's nominated for specifically.
I mean, best animated, which I think
Yes.
is sort of self-explanatory, and then
Yeah.
best song we talked about.
Yeah.
Golden is a very good song.
Hmm.
It's
It's the
obviously
most
one of the
single
catchiest.
friendly for sure.
Yeah, it's the most single friendly.
Hmm.
Um, I it matches with what the theme of the movie is.
Hmm.
I mean, I know, like you said, the finale song, the the idol or something like that. I can't remember what it's
Well,
called.
so there's the Saja Boys do their "I'll Be Your Idol" song,
That's right.
but
They do the idol. That's the idol
but then
song.
there's what it sounds like. This is my voice without the lie. This is what it sounds like.
This is what it
Where they
sounds
they
like.
all come
Right.
together. Yeah. So I think in the context of the movie, that's my favorite. But Golden is certainly the one that it's just like the mainstream appeal of listening to it in isolation, even though it obviously still works extremely well in the context of the movie.
Yes. And but it also embodies what the movie's about,
Yeah.
which is the uplifting piece is what defeats the dark,
Yeah.
right? And so
And on that note, I just point out a musical bit that if people hadn't spotted it, that um, when we're getting the instrumental sort of chorus part of what it sounds like, we get a hint of the theme from Golden. It's kind of played in the background during that, we're defeating the evil sequence, which is a nice little musical callback there.
Yep. Forgot about that. Yeah, that was good.
Well, I have listened to the soundtrack probably more than you.
Fair.
I incepted this movie into my mom and half sister on our trip to Glacier National Park. We watched it in the hotel room, and then everybody was humming these songs all weekend.
That's funny. I mean, they're good songs,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like we talked about,
absolutely,
so
yeah. And I think it's also just kind of interesting to wonder how much this movie is introducing K-pop to people in the States that didn't know it already. I
yep.
mean, I have to imagine some at least. Um, but yeah, I also am not like a huge K-pop fan, but like I did, a few years back, I worked in South Korea for a few months, and so I definitely got to see all the K-pop phenomenon from that side of it. And so, uh, yeah, all right, cool. Anything else we want to touch on for K-pop Demon Hunters?
No, go see it. It's fun.
Yeah. Or you don't even have to go. It's just right there on your
Yeah,
TV.
just turn it on. It's fun. It's worth it.
Turn up the volume though. The songs are good. Okay, great. So now we have F1, which is nominated for 4 awards, including Best Editing, Best Visual Effects, Best Sound, and, to many people's surprise, Best Picture. And I don't mean to say surprise like, oh, it's not a good movie. I think it was just not one that people had really thought was going to be on the short list for Best Picture.
Mm.
But I think, as we talked about a little bit last time, there's maybe a theory that it was the folks who really, really liked it for the technical awards that kind of boosted it up in the overall list.
Yeah, and I will say, I mean, I'll let you kind of run through the general overview of it, but I'll just on that point, it is very technically proficient.
It is. It's great. This movie was great in a theater. I'm so glad I was able to see it in the theater. Did you manage to see it in the theater, or did you, watch it at home?
I didn't, but it's that's why I can almost like speak even more highly to its technical proficiency is that, I don't have the most amazing home theater setup. I mean, I have a decent sound system and I have a decent TV,
Mm-hmm.
you know, higher quality, not anything like it's going to blow you away, but this thing just hummed on that, like even on my system, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like you still felt immersed. You still felt the car, the muscle of the car and all those things. Not to the level you would in a theater or even a good home theater, but I think that's what makes it almost even better
Mm-hmm.
is that it can work down the line of like quality of experience and still like deliver that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So, for people who have not seen it, um, plot wise, it is every sports movie that has ever been made, but executed at a very high level. Um, to get more specific, we've got Brad Pitt playing Sonny Hayes, who is a veteran racer, but not in F1. He did because he had this, eccentric habit of doing all of these different kinds of racing right up until he wins the number one race and then quitting to go do something else.
yep.
Um, but then, when he's now going to try F1, he's up against Damson Idris, played by, or rather, playing Joshua Pierce, who is the young new rising star in F1, who everyone thinks has got the juice, but he's too undisciplined. He doesn't have the experience yet. He needs maybe a racing partner who is an old hand and more stable, and they can bring out the best in each other. And of course, the plot of the movie is that for a long time they don't, but then at the end they do. Yay! And then you've got, of course, Carrie Condon as the love interest, and Javier Bardem as he's the like the team manager or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and I don't mean to be dismissive when I describe the plot as every sports movie ever, but it's just, it really is the sort of thing where if you were to go to like, not that TV tropes is like any sort of a final reference or anything, but I just mean the point is that the sports movie tends to have very familiar plot beats in common, right? What makes a great sports movie? You analyze them, and there's a lot of similar beats in there, and it's a formula because it works a lot of the time, right? And some various movies will, change things up in more or less ways, but this one is doing it for F1, but it's
Someone's knocking on my door.
oh, okay. All right. I think I will just kind of continue, though, the basic kind of idea that you have people who we know have potential, but they're having a hard time right now. They have to work really hard and train and get better and come to trust each other and get past their difficulties and then compete against the best of the best. And either they win or they don't, but they have done their best, and that is the achievement. And that is a story that resonates with a lot of people, and it's why they keep making these movies, is because they're fun to watch. It's a formula we like. It's just like a romantic comedy, or it's just like a horror movie. There's formulas that work for a reason. It does not mean it's a negative thing to say that a movie is formulaic, right? It can be formulaic if something isn't bringing anything new to the table. But I think what this one is doing is it's taking that formula and it's just doing it extremely well with a sport, F1 racing, that hasn't really had a good movie made about it up till this point. And so that's, I think, what elevates this movie. And then on top of that, as we were kind of discussing, you have the just exceptional technical craft at work in making all of the racing sequences very exciting and sounding great and fun to watch. And I hope my co-host will be back soon. We don't know what's going on exactly. I think we could just talk about the director is Joseph Kosinski, who I am looking up his filmography now. He is the director of Top Gun Maverick, which I'm remembering now is especially relevant because to some extent with this movie, there is actually a degree to which Brad Pitt saw what Top Gun Maverick did for Tom Cruise and went to Joseph Kosinski and said, I want you to do one of those for me, which is to say, let's take a movie, take a star who's, of course, still a big star, but is looking to maybe start to transition a little bit into some slightly different kinds of roles, and wants a movie that's going to let him sort of ease that transition in a charming way that everybody likes him and make a bunch of money. I don't know how much of that last bit you heard.
I didn't hear any of it. My
Okay.
dogs were going nuts. It
Okay.
was, I mean, it was just like people trying to sell us on bug treatment.
Uh-huh.
And, but I had the door open, and so the dogs were just barking, barking, barking. But
Mm.
so I didn't hear any of it, but
That's
I
okay.
trust it was all good.
Well, just to repeat that last bit, this movie is directed by Joseph Kosinski, who also did Top Gun Maverick.
Yes.
And there is an actual sort of behind the scenes thing. Like, this is oversimplifying it dramatically, of course, but there is a very real element of this movie where Brad Pitt saw Top Gun Maverick and what it did for Tom Cruise and said, hey, Joseph Kosinski, please make a movie like that for me.
Yep.
And it is. It is definitely that. It is a movie, a vehicle in which an aging big star who's maybe going to start transitioning to slightly different kinds of roles wants a movie that's still going to make him look cool, funny, capable, and hey, this is still a big star that you should keep putting in movies.
Right. And I think the last piece of that is also acknowledging that he is the aging guy now. Like
Yes.
he's not pretending to be a younger version of himself, right?
Right.
Like the whole point of the movie is he's the aging star,
Mm-hmm.
just like the whole point of Maverick is he's the aging and retired pilot,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah. And
I
it's
think that's
not a
important.
passing the
Yeah.
torch exactly, but it is still a reflective of not the young up and comer anymore.
No, I have different skill sets
Mm-hmm.
and different value, and I bring different value to the table now that I am this. Like that, I think that that's key to this whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Because that's what they're trying to reflect outside of the movie is, okay, well, I may not be passing the torch and I may not be my former self. I have a different value now that I am who I am now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the other thing that's certainly worth acknowledging about this movie is that it made a ton of money. It is, I believe, now the officially highest grossing sports movie ever made. And it did that in a space of a few months. It looks like I'm pulling up the worldwide gross according to Box Office Mojo is $633 million, which is that's a lot for a non-franchised movie.
Yeah. Well, I think that's part of the fact that it's F1, I think helped.
Yeah, I think there's international interest, international fandom of F1. I think is bigger even than in the states.
Yes. So it's I even just pulled it up. It's not the highest grossing domestic sports movie.
Mm,
It is the highest grossing sports movie because of its international appeal.
right.
But that I mean that I think
Yep.
that's an important
Mm-hmm.
thing to acknowledge,
Yeah.
right? And even funny, like looking at the movies above it, I mean, The Blind Side
Hmm.
was is the number one domestic, but then they're calling Cars a sports movie.
It's structured like a sports movie, right?
Yeah,
Like it's just a cartoon, but otherwise it's all the same beats of a sports movie,
yeah,
right? You've got the star who gets in trouble due to his own attitude and has to learn a lesson before he can get back to what he really loves and be great at it again. He has to learn a lesson from the wisdom of the old hand. Uh, you know.
yep, yeah. I mean, there has to be some redemption. There has
Hmm.
to be some, mentorship. There has to be some collaboration, and there has to be some sacrificing of the self for the good of the
Yeah.
team. Um,
You have to learn to turn into the skid so that you can drift.
yep.
Just as a total
What they call
tangent.
like almost the flow state, right?
Yeah,
Like you have
yeah.
to have that part of it. Like there has to be something where it's like, hey, sometimes like skill, experience, all these kinds of things are not enough.
Hmm.
Like there's a feel.
Yeah.
And in some movies that feel is, mentored through the aging person or
Hmm.
whatever. And some it's just it's self-discovered, but like that's the other piece is the
Yeah.
feel above the just technical. Yeah.
Just as a tangent, because of course the Lightning McQueen is voiced by Owen Wilson. I just recently rewatched for the first time in a long time Bottle Rocket,
I
which
I literally was like, I wonder if that's what you're gonna say. Cause
really.
yeah, because I couldn't think of another Owen Wilson movie like just in the spur of the moment that you would be like excited to tell me you
Oh yeah.
rewatched. Like it wasn't gonna be like Wedding Crashers, and but
Because
I was like, nah, Bottle Rockets too. Yeah.
Bottle
Anyway,
Rocket is a movie I'd seen before and liked when I saw it. But what's interesting rewatching it now is that when I saw it was I had seen Rushmore and it was good. And oh, hey, this new director, Wes Anderson, had a movie before that. Maybe that one's good too. And it was.
it
And I
is.
had not rewatched it since then. So going back to it now, after Wes Anderson is, of course, much more of a thing, was interesting to go back and see his style in prototype form. Also, Owen Wilson is absolute baby with like spiked up hair.
Yep.
And I feel like I don't think I've seen him wearing spiked up hair since, right? He goes to the floppy hair pretty fast after that, and that just keeps that forever now. Anyway, we're not actually talking about Owen Wilson because he is not in F1, but you know, Brad Pitt's doing his Brad Pitt thing. You know, it's a little bit like we were just talking about in terms of this is exactly the kind of role he wanted. It's not terribly challenging, but it sure makes him look like a movie star that we like to see doing stuff on screen, right?
Yep.
You know, it's like he gets to be fun, he gets to be cool, he gets to be a wise ass. You know, it's like, what else do you want?
Yeah. I
Um,
loved him in this. Yeah.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And our new guy, I've already clicked away from his name, but he's a lot of fun too, as kind of the the up and comer with a lot of attitude. And of course, they get the great exchange early on when they're first bringing Brad Pitt on board, and it's kind of like, "How many races have you won?" And he's like, "Well, a whole bunch." It's like, "Well, but I mean F1," and he says, "Well, then the same number as you." Which of course is an exchange written in order to land at that punchline. But hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
And then we just get everybody in, to use a racing metaphor, everyone in their lane, right? You know, this is a movie where it's designed to let a talented cast do the thing they're best at.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Gosh, what else is there to say about it? We could talk more about like the technical stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the technical stuff is all, I mean, it's all really cool visual effects and sound and all the things that it's nominated for, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like in editing. But it, what I think is really cool about the technical stuff
Mm-hmm.
is it's not distracting from the movie. While it's still very, very good, and F1 in particular, like lends itself to like this very, I mean, because I mean, it's faster than NASCAR, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a loud, fast sport. And they're able to put that in there to make it entertaining, but it's not like you're watching two different movies,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're not like, oh, now we're in a F1 scene. But at the same time, like you're so engrossed in when you're in an F1 scene, right? You know, when they're like racing,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it pulls you right in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all the technical capabilities of the movie.
Yeah.
But then when you leave, that's that's where the actors and the softer skills pieces, like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's what makes this movie so entertaining is that it's not overly reliant on one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Like they coexist, and there's an easy transition from like, okay, like we're getting ramped up, we're about to go into a race, like I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
feel different, right?
It,
Oh, now we're
yeah.
going to like Brad Pitt and the young guy like in an argument. I'm gonna feel different, but it's still good,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's just good, different, you know.
I'm stuck in my brain now, still trying to think of it in a very big abstract shaped way as the same movie as Top Gun Maverick.
It very much is
Yeah,
like
it
that's
is.
the same way.
Yeah.
Like when you're
Mm-hmm.
in the like the human moments of that movie, like they're very good.
Mm-hmm.
But then like well, and I would say the one thing that this doesn't have that did, which doesn't make Top Gun Maverick better. I mean, the final flight
Mm.
in Top Gun Maverick is like its own thing, you know. And I know we talked about it back then. There isn't that race, right? Like where
Yeah.
it's just like I could just go back and watch that. Like I could go back, I could turn on right now and just be happy watching that 20 to 30 minutes of Top Gun Maverick of when they go into like
Their fancy mission against
yeah, the
Nation of
fancy mission to
London's,
like blow up
you know,
the whatever they're supposed to blow
the
up. I don't
bad
even
guy country.
yeah, the bad guy stuff. I mean, that thing is so fun
Mm-hmm.
and so intense. Like
What
even the
were you
final
thinking?
racing
You told
sequence.
me not to think.
Yeah. Which that is where I guess
Mm-hmm.
now that I'm kind of thinking about that, that is the slight differential between the two movies is that the climax of F1 is being able to like pull yourself out of that, right?
Mm.
Like you're in this intense state and you're able to just relax, right?
Yeah,
Like,
you inherently don't have quite the same level of life or death stakes,
also true. Yeah.
right? Um, Obviously, F1 can be very dangerous. Obviously, people can and do get killed in F1 accidents, but it's also not like literally war where people are shooting at you. Um, but in any case, though, I agree. I think the balance of the racing scenes and the non-racing scenes really works. And the example that came to mind is the video game Hades, where it has these scenes where you're doing the action part, but then when you die there, you go back to the house and you're doing this like social part where you're checking in with all the people there and talking to them, and then you're doing upgrades and stuff like that. And both parts of the game are fun, but there's a really good balance where instead of being frustrated when you die in the action part, it's that blow is softened because you're like, oh, but now I get to go back to the House of Hades and talk to all my friends there. But then once you've hung around there and you're ready to go back into the action, you do. So it like neither half overstays its welcome. Every time you switch, it's you're feeling like, oh yeah, I'm excited to go see the other part again now.
Mm.
So you never get tired of the one that you're in, and yet you're always excited to switch to the other. um, I will say it is my second favorite car racing movie, and I bet you can guess what is remains the first.
I mean, I feel like if we're gonna have to stretch what a car racing movie is, you're gonna say Speed Racer
How is that even a stretch to say that's a car racing movie?
because it's a sci-fi movie.
It's literally about racing cars.
Not real cars.
Just because they're sci-fi cars makes it a stretch to call it a car racing movie.
All
But
right,
yes,
I'll
Speed
give it to
Racer
you.
is correct. Um,
I'll give it to you.
yes, it is literally a movie that is all about racing. It is the only thing that anybody in the movie cares
No, I know.
about. But yes, it's great, and I've heard rumors that they're finally going to do an upscale 4K release of that, which I'm very excited by because I adore that movie. It's one of my all-time favorites, but at the same time, it was released during that early stage of digital where the master is actually only 1080p. And so you can't actually just put out a 4K because the original is not even that high resolution. So they have to
Mm.
put it through like an upscaling process. Now, the computers are pretty good at that these days, but it's still time consuming and expensive. So a movie studio has to be pretty confident they'll make their money back on the release before they would go through that process. And so, yeah, I've heard that they're gonna, though, which I'm excited by because I will
Nice.
absolutely buy that movie again.
Nice.
Anyway, racing is fun though. It's an inherently dramatic type of sport, even for sports where the movie has to adjust the actual experience of watching the sport a little bit to make it more cinematically dramatic,
Yes.
because you don't actually want to say, okay, now they drive in circles for a half hour. And
Half hour.
maybe about 2 minutes of that half hour or more um, have anything happening at all other than them continuing to drive in a circle. And I don't want to be dismissive of the sport. Obviously, if you're into it, there's all sorts of little details that you're paying attention to. It's like any sport, right? Because I'm sure people could dismissively describe basketball or football in the same way.
I mean, football has definitely been described that way
Yeah,
because there's
it's
a
back and forth and
certain
back and forth.
percentage of the time and there's actually even a percentage of time where they're not even going back and forth,
Mm-hmm.
where they're literally just meeting with each other
Yeah.
and discussing what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's called a
Well, and
huddle.
I've often joked that if they took all the standing around and edited all the standing around out of baseball, the games would be 14 minutes long because it's
Yes.
just like the actual play parts are very, very quick. Anyway, I think that's actually one of the joys of baseball, though, in my opinion, is that it's the pace of it is such that you actually it does not reward you paying it 100% of your attention all the time, which makes it a little bit easier to just kind of say it's okay to go up and get a pretzel. And maybe you miss something, maybe you don't, but it's probably fine.
Yes. That's a whole different conversation that we could have on
Yeah,
something else about like where there's value in boredom and just
yeah.
relaxing. And
But
I'm doing something, but I'm not actually
yeah.
like I'm just sitting here and I'm watching a guy hit his cleats with his
Hmm.
bat, and I'm watching a guy rub the ball on his pants. And
I, yeah, like I still don't follow baseball, but I think the reason it's the sport that kind of appeals the most to me in a general way is really just kind of the aesthetics of it. It's just all of the ephemera, the feel of it, the sounds,
yeah,
and all of that stuff.
yeah, it smells like grass and
Hmm.
beer and hot dogs. Yeah.
Yeah. But when we're talking about sports movies, obviously some sports are kind of more inherently easy to adapt cinematically, right? Like I think boxing is a classic example of that, is that it's so dramatic in a way that really lines up with movies extremely well because it's one on one. It's really dramatic. Like you can see what's happening. Like you maybe don't have all of like necessarily the technical insight, but you see who's getting the most punches in. You see who's looking hurt or tired. And then it's like there's always the drama of like, well, someone gets knocked down, but are they going to get back up? Is someone going to throw in the towel? Like all of these things are just sort of very easy to convey in a movie form. But I think something like F1 racing or stock car racing for that matter is not as straightforward to make cinematic in that way, right?
Hmm.
Because other than the very, very end, there's not necessarily always going to be an obvious cinematic thing to show. And in many cases, the very, very end might not even be that dramatic because you might have someone who's actually a lap and a half ahead of the next person in line. And so it's like everyone has known for the last 10 minutes that they're going to win. I mean, that's maybe overstating it a little bit, but the point is just that it's a challenge, I think, for a
It
movie
definitely
to
is.
convey it cinematically.
Yes, and I think because like you were talking earlier about the nuances of a sport, the biggest nuance in racing is the pit stop, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like and understanding like when you go in and how that affects because everybody else keeps going by,
Mm-hmm.
but like you can catch back up because now you have fresh tires. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a thing there that's like kind of different,
Yeah,
right?
there can be a gambling element where like, do you go in this time or do you think you can make it another lap and then get ahead while everyone else is in it? But then you run the risk of causing a problem because you waited too long.
Yeah.
Um, I
But just
think from a
as
movie
a
standpoint,
casual viewer,
yeah,
like it's hard to like because it's not like I mean we joked that they just go in circles until
yeah,
somebody
yeah.
is first, but that's not exactly what
It's an
happened.
oversimplification, of course.
No, of course, and I'm not criticizing your
Hmm.
oversimplification. I'm like more pointing out of like how this is a weird because I don't necessarily follow these sports either, and so it's confusing to me as someone who's a sports fan. Like I have to like kind of pay attention of like okay, well, wait, they were in the lead, but like they just drove off to the side, and now everybody else is ahead of them, but like
Hmm.
that's okay, or is it? I'm not sure.
On that exact point, I want to give big kudos to the script here in terms of taking a very technical sport and making it accessible enough for dummies like me who haven't watched any F1 racing at all to still be able to follow the plot, without it feeling too obvious of the characters having to just like, as you know, in F1 racing, when you take a pit stop, it follows all of these rules. It's like we always get the sense of like, oh, Sonny's still in, development mode or whatever, and I don't know what that is, but I know the tone of voice that Carrie Condon is using when she says it, and that's all I really need to know to kind of understand what's meant there.
Yep.
I understand that it's bad or strange or whatever by the way the characters are reacting, and the movie doesn't feel like it has to actually explain the real detail to me. It can convey what's important about it with the performance. And I think that's it. The movie's very good at that.
Yes. So
The other advantage of the pit stop stuff from a cinematic perspective is it gets other characters involved.
true.
The rest of the cast has something to do.
Fair.
Okay, yeah. So, I think F1 is it's a crowd pleaser. It's easy to watch. Your dad will like it. I don't mean your dad. I mean the collective your dad. Um,
Yeah, I know.
it's definitely a movie that if you've got a like group of people at a family gathering, you could put that one on and probably everybody's mostly happy.
Blue Bear. Oh, the fucking neighbors leave their cats out and they come in
Mm,
our yard and tease our dogs
yeah, it sounds like a
because
cat
that's
thing.
what cats do.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Blue, leave him. Anyway,
All right, so that's F1 and K-pop Demon Hunters. Do we want to try to cover another? Like we could get into Elio, for example,
uh,
or we could leave Elio and Weapons are another two that we sort of have on the list that we could talk about, or we could. What do you think?
let's just shell him for this one.
Okay, all right. So I think we'll leave it there for now. The and more is all of the tangents we took on our discussions. Um, and so um, in the meantime, we will continue to try to watch more Oscar nominated movies, and you should do the same too, or we could watch other good movies too. But we'll be back for more movie discussion and watch good movies.
Watch good movies.